Right. Hello, guys. Welcome to the Ultimate Show. I'm Ben. We have James and Andrew making a return. And welcome to the first video of the 2017 season. And this year should be great. We have some big news to talk about in the league, and we'll get right to that. So, James, what's the first big piece of news that you've heard over the offseason?
Well, I'm going to talk about what's been going on in the South Division mostly. I'm pretty sure if you haven't heard, you just haven't been paying attention to media, but Nashville first has signed the first female to a full season contract, Jessie Schaffner. She will be wearing number 2 for the Night Watch this year. So look out for her. The owners, the coach have said that she's a very good player, which is why she earned her spot. So I'd like to see what she does. Also, little side note, her brother plays for the DC Breeze, Mark Schaffner, or something of that nature. So, there's she has family in the league. But so that's Jessie Schaffner wearing number 2 for the Night Watch. Look out for her. Jonathan Helton has come down to the South Division. He's going to be playing for Raleigh this year. As you guys know, Jonathan Helton, 2-time AUDL MVP. He made an appearance in the 2000 and he made an appearance in the first AUDL championship game where Indianapolis played the Philadelphia Spinners and of course lost that game. So, but every team that he's gone to has made the playoffs. So he has some great experience in the league. It'll be nice to see what he can do for Raleigh, Raleigh is a former South Division championship team, made playoffs last year, lost in the first round. So we'll see how that goes for them. Brody Smith has left Dallas. He's in Jacksonville now. So with Brody Smith, Misha Freystarter, the current record holder for most goals in the season, and Cole Sullivan, kind of wondering what kind of noise Jacksonville is going to make this year. Paul Lally has left Nashville. He's went to Atlanta. I'm kind of upset about that. I'm not going to lie. But we'll see what Atlanta can do this year. Let's just see what Atlanta can do this year. Okay. That's really all the news that's been going on in the South so far. So we'll turn it over to Andrew.
All right, my favorite part, the Midwest. The Madison Radicals are looking to rebound from last year's semifinal loss to the Seattle Cascades. And my goodness, what a season it's been, off-season it's been for the Radicals. They can't get that block out of their mind. I can't get it out of my mind. That was probably the greatest play in AUDL history. But the Midwest has been pretty quiet in the offseason, other than Jay Frood moving from Madison to Dallas. We'll see how that goes in his return to Madison. We'll see how rowdy the fans get with him. Abe Coffin also heading south to Dallas. Other than that, it's been pretty quiet. Not a whole lot of big signing news. Teams are having tryouts. The Radicals have had 13 practices since the final rosters have come out. If you follow them on Facebook and Twitter, you'll know that they posted a couple videos yesterday about the practices. But as for that, that's really all that's happened in the Midwest. Fans might have remembered that Cincinnati is no longer, so they're down to, 6 teams now. So one less opponent to play during the regular season. So it should be interesting to see how the season shapes up.
Yeah, that's true. And as far as the West, we've had a lot of big moves this season. Several players have switched around. Sean Hamm has left San Jose to go to San Francisco. A host of Dallas Roughnecks have also gone to San Francisco, including the reigning MVP, Bo Kittredge. And San Francisco was good last year. Who knows what they're going to do this year? I mean, it is all to play for. But don't sleep on any of the other teams. They've all had experience as being one of the powerhouses of the league, except for Los Angeles, as they're fairly new. I expect this to be a fairly competitive division this year, and I am really looking forward to it. And now we'll hit up James in the East.
It's my turn talking, and I just want to make a slight correction to what Ben said. Bo Kittredge is not the reigning MVP. Reigning MVP is Dylan Tunnell of the Atlanta Hustle. So I just want to make that correction.
Yeah, two-time
right
before.
Yeah.
You're good. You're good.
And in the East Division, not that much news going on in the East Division. I think one of the biggest pieces of news, honestly, is for Philadelphia. For those of you who don't know, the Phoenix have been kind of the bottom feeder of the East for like the last 2 seasons. I would say last 3, but I can't say last 3 because their first season as a team, they actually made the playoffs with a 9-7 record. That was when the league still did 16 games. But after that, they just kind of fell down. But this year, as you guys know, the MLU is gone. It's no longer a thing. So that also means the Philadelphia Spinners of the MLU, who was, of course, the last MLU champions, first ever AUDL champions, that means they're no more. So you got to wonder, the players from that team are probably looking for a new home. The closest place to them is the Phoenix. Not to mention they do have a new coach now. They've gained Nicky Spiva from, I'm pretty sure he either played for New York or DC, and I can't think off the top of my head who he played for. But he was a very good player. And, of course, you have these former champions who are spilling into the Phoenix right now. Look out for Philadelphia to make some noise in the East. Could they push towards a playoff spot? I don't know. But if they do, it's probably not going to be much more than 3rd seed. I still think Toronto will own the East so far. Actually, there is news in DC. My bad. DC has a new coach. Why can't I remember his name? Golly. But he's also won a college national championship as a coach. So he has experience coaching and winning championships. So could this be DC's year to finally knock over Toronto, which they were so close to doing last year? If you guys didn't see the Eastern Division Finals, it was a very good game, went into overtime. DC, in 10 seconds, they got the disc back and scored. Sent in overtime, then ended up losing. So could this be their year with a new coach to finally try to take control? Who knows? I can't say anything for sure. But that's really all that's going on in the East. No real news happening there.
All right, so that does it for our big news. Obviously, there's some more that we didn't get to. But if you can name anything that we didn't get to, we may get it in the next episode if you just want to comment below anything that you see. So now we'll get into our end of the season predictions. So for each division, we're going to do the teams we think will make the playoffs. Again, 3 teams make the playoffs in each division. So from the South Division, hit us up, James.
All right. In the South, Dallas, of course, we know they lost Cassidy Rasmussen, Bo Kittredge, but they still have Jimmy Mickle. They still have Kirk Gibson. They just got Jay Fruit from Madison. So you got to understand they still have very big talent in Dallas. So I still think they're going to get first seed in the South. Do I think they're going to lose a couple of games here and there? They're probably going to lose 2, at most 3. But I still think that they're going to own the South. I don't even know if they're going to lose that many, but they're still going to probably own the South. Second seed, I have to say, is going to be Raleigh. Mostly with the addition of Jonathan Helton, I think Raleigh will be able to hold on to their second seed this year and be able to advance to the playoffs. But you got to remember, Raleigh also has names Justin Allen, Terrence Mitchell, Jonathan Nethercutt, former Callahan Award winner. So Raleigh's never been a bad team, but now they have Jonathan Helton to help them. The only thing Raleigh's ever really needed help on is their defense, because last year they were the number 3 offense in the Southern Division anyways. Jacksonville is number 2 and Dallas is number 1. They're the number 3 offense Southern Division, but their defense was number 5. So they really do need to work on something with their defense, because they just never really had it going. And third seed, I think, is going to be Jacksonville. We're talking Hope. I don't know if he's going to be healthy or not. Brody Smith, and with already good players like Cole Sullivan and Misha Freystarter, who now owns the record for most goals scored in the season, it's got to wonder, what else Jacksonville needs at this point. I think this is what they need. Because I was going to say Atlanta was going to make the playoffs, but this isn't really relevant. I don't know the full backstory of what was going on, but I watched the futures game that Atlanta does against the College All Stars, and they lost. They lost against College All Stars. Now, mind you, it was Atlanta and the All Star women versus the Ozone women and the Bamasex men, and they had it worked in a weird way. But I mean, even when the women were not on the field, when it was like the College All Star men versus the Atlanta Hustle, the College All Star men still made them look bad. So I don't know what the full story was behind that. They might have had all their players, but they were still looking bad against college players. So yeah, my top 3 picks are going to be Dallas, Raleigh, and Jacksonville.
All right, very very solid picks. You did have a tough one there with Jacksonville and Atlanta fighting for that 3rd spot. Now let's see what Andrew has to say in the Midwest.
All right, the Midwest. Obviously, the Radicals are a powerhouse of the Midwest Division. They're hands down going to be the number 1 seed for me. 2nd and 3rd get a little gray for me. Pittsburgh's returning a lot of players, and Indianapolis is right up there. Minneapolis, the wind chill, they lost Ben Yacht, so it'll be interesting to see how they recover from that. But I think the top 3, Madison number 1, Pittsburgh number 2, Indy at number 3. So it should be interesting to see how the Radicals go to Indianapolis this weekend. You guys know as of, let's see, today's Thursday the 28th. It's been 248 days since the Madison Radicals have won a game at home. And that's probably the longest amount of time they've ever had going without a win. So it'll be interesting to see the Radicals come back and maybe make that playoff push, maybe go for another perfect season in the regular season. But as for that, I think Pittsburgh is just as good as Madison, if not better. I could see where Pittsburgh could pay off from MLU teams looking for somewhere else to play. Going back to the East, I think a lot of MLU players would be inclined to go to the D.C. area or somewhere else closer to there, maybe New York. They're not that far apart geographically speaking, but the East is going to be a lot deeper this year, but I'm fearful for the South. So when Dallas comes to play Madison, it'll be the championship game that should have been but wasn't. But I'm thinking the Radicals could win that game, and I'm going to be watching that one from good old Hawaii. So I'm really excited to see that game and the experience of that game online and on AUDL.tv.
Yeah, once again, solid picks from Andrew. I'm a little heartbroken that my own namesake and my own player left me, but it's okay. I'll get over it. Minnesota sports fans, we can take anything. It's okay. Now I'll do my West end of season predictions. For the 1st seed, I mean, you just got to go with San Francisco. They have everybody. They had a solid team last year, and they just built it even more. They added Sean Hamm, Bo Kittredge, and I'm pretty sure Cassidy Rasmussen also went to San Francisco. So that's just adding more wood to a burning fire. It's no pun intended. Just absolutely insane. I didn't even think we can even doubt that for division champs. 2nd, 3rd, and 4th were kind of a dogfight for me, but I think for number 2, I'm going to go with the Seattle Cascades. They had some underrated but pretty well-known players. Matt Rader, you saw his crazy jumping catch last season. It was on SportsCenter. It was top 10. And Donnie Clark is also on the team. But also what I think more of is they worked with their MLU team all year last year. So they should be locked and loaded for this season. And 3rd and... What was that, Andrew? Oh. Yeah, sorry about that. Yeah. So between third and fourth, it was kind of a coin toss between the San Diego Growlers and the Vancouver Riptide. I am going to give the advantage to the Vancouver Riptide, though. Darren Wu has been on the highlight reel and for a long time, and I don't see that changing. There's some other playmakers that are on that team, and I think they may benefit from the Seattle MLU team fading away too. We'll have to see. I have San Diego barely out of the playoffs, but that was such a close one for me to pick between. So maybe at the end of the season I'll look back on this and think about how stupid I was that I didn't put San Diego as third, but we'll see. These are only predictions. They could be broken. So that's what I have for the West, and we'll go to our last division, the East. What do you got for us, James?
All right, so in the East, I don't think it will be a surprise to anyone that I'm going to put Toronto Rush as the number 1 seed. Their worst record, their entire franchise, in the last 4 years they've been a franchise, their worst record has been 12-2, and that was last year. So Madison has been the powerhouse of the Midwest. Toronto has owned the East, and there's just no doubt about it. Now, for the second, third, and fourth seed, it's kind of weird because a lot of people would expect me to put DC in one of those spots, but DC has lost Jonathan Helton, who was a big addition to their team. Let's not forget the reason they made the playoffs 2 years ago was because of crap. I forgot his name. He plays for Pittsburgh now. He was like one of their main handlers. Tyler DiGirolamo. That's right. That was one of the reasons they made the playoffs 2 years ago. And it seems that DC always has to rely on 1 or 2 people to try to help them. Now, last year, of course, wasn't the case. They had a lot more people, but I don't know what they're going to be able to do so much this year. I'm actually going to put New York back in that number 2 spot, surprisingly. So I'm going to say New York is probably the only team in the East this year that can probably threaten Toronto. I know it's weird for me to say, right? But I'm going to say it. Number 2 seed, New York. And then I'm talking about number 3 and number 4 I'm honestly going to say between Philadelphia and DC. Because Philadelphia, I already told you why. Philadelphia spinners are gone. Those players are probably going to migrate into the Phoenix and, help them. It's a toss-up between Philadelphia and DC. But I'm going to say Philadelphia's going to get the 3rd seed. I'm going to stay by my pick. I'm going to put DC in a very close 4th. But again, it's just preseason picks. It's just what I see happening now. It might not be the case. I might be completely wrong, but that's just what I see happening this year.
All right, so that's what we got from James for the East. So that wraps up our end-of-season predictions. So now let's go to our Week 1 predictions. The first game that we have to talk about this week comes as the only game in the Midwest, and that is the Madison Radicals at the Indianapolis Alley Cats. So let's get all the predictions on that.
Radicals all the way. They're gonna. No surprise
there. Andrew with the Radicals pick. All right. I am also picking the Madison Radicals.
I just want everyone to remember who the first ever Eastern Division champs were. I just want everyone to remember that. But I'm picking Madison.
All right. Now, I am also picking Madison alongside Andrew. I just think they have a little bit too much for Indy. Indy has definitely been improving over the last couple of years, but I just think Madison has a little too much on them.
Consistency pays, and that defense is unbelievable. Tim talked about it in his interview with Alti World last week on their podcast. They had the lowest points per game in history. 16.3 is the average goals they've given up in a regular game. So that defense is unbelievable, and I would think that it is getting better this offseason.
All right, so now we'll move out to the West, and there's 3 games in the West this week. The first one, San Diego Growlers are playing the LA Aviators. LA I mean, they don't really have a lot going for them. Like, a lot of their star players have left. So I think just on that, I have to go with San Diego on this one. What are your guys' thoughts?
I'm gonna go San Diego too. I don't really know a whole lot about the West, but I know LA has struggled over recent history, so I'm gonna go San Diego over LA.
All right, and James?
See, again, I have to applaud LA for making the playoffs last year. They were a big dark horse to make the playoffs, but they're gonna have to try even harder if they want to make the playoffs this year. Because I don't know if you guys have been paying attention, but like 3 of LA's best players who helped them go to the playoffs went to San Diego. So if anything, it's gonna help San Diego and really throw a disadvantage to LA. So I'm picking San Diego for this. I don't know what LA is gonna do or what they can do at this point.
That is true. That is true. All right, so now we head to our second game in the West Division, and this one's kind of a big one. We have the San Francisco Flamethrowers and Bo Kittredge against his former team, the San Jose Spiders. I do love a good upset from time to time, but San Francisco's just got everything. So unless those new guys don't have the same chemistry that they did, I think it's going to be a clean wrap-up for San Francisco.
Yeah, I'm gonna go San Fran as well. I would think that they got better. I mean, they picked up 2 Dallas Roughnecks players from last season, and I would think that they're only gonna get better.
Yeah, I don't know what else to say about that. Last year, San Jose's hero, even though they went 5-11, was Sean Ham, and now, well, not 5-11, 5-9. My apologies, Sean Ham, and now Sean Ham is the San Francisco. San Francisco literally has the 2014-2015 San Jose Spiders. Remember that those squads won 2 back-to-back championships. I'm just saying. Yeah, San Francisco. Yeah, San Francisco.
I mean, you're not wrong. All right, so now we'll move on to the last game, and this is the border battle. We have the Seattle Cascades versus the Vancouver Riptide, and I think both these teams got a lot better over the offseason. They're both going to be battling for a playoff spot. This is going to be a really good game. I think Seattle will come through, but it's definitely going to be close. And I'm excited to see how that one turns out.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Seattle. Interesting note, one of their club teams that they normally do match up with players, they are discontinuing that. So that partnership anyway. So it'll be interesting to see how Seattle pulls players this year, but I know a lot of players from Seattle are returning. So Seattle, hopefully Donnie Clark doesn't block too many last-second prayers.
Oh boy, we aren't going to hear the end of that, are we?
So hurt. I'm so hurt by that. I'm sorry. Like I don't think any Radicals fan will. I mean, it was a great play. Don't get me wrong. That was the greatest play of the season. But we're still healing from that wound.
All right, so James, let's get your take on this.
Well, one, this is like one of the best rivalries in the West, and probably, no offense to LA and San Diego or San Francisco and San Jose, but probably the only relevant rivalry this season, because I don't know what to say about the other 2. That being said, Vancouver and Seattle have always put up great games the last 2 years, and they've always split the series. And I'm actually going to stray away from Ben and Andrew, and I'm going to pick Vancouver to win this game over Seattle.
Okay.
That would be huge. That would be a huge game. I would actually like to see that happen, actually.
Yeah, that would be very interesting. That would definitely shake up the West, and we'll definitely see the Wild West come out this year, I'm sure. All right, so there's no games in the East this week.
It's too cold.
So we have 3 games left, and those all come from the South. So our first game in the South is the Atlanta Hustle versus the Raleigh Flyers. And just like practically what we've been saying, these 2 always put up good games. They seem to always be at the top of the league. And the top of the South Division in particular. Raleigh probably has a few better players, but Atlanta needs some love after the Super Bowl.
Oh my goodness.
I'll go with the Atlanta hustle on this one, guys.
Our next Twitter poll should be bigger collapse: Atlanta losing to the Patriots or the Radicals losing to Seattle. See how that goes. But
hey guys, I just want to throw out a.
And I'll put on there, don't rip out Andrew's heart.
Yeah. You guys know today is March 28th, 3/28.
Oh yeah,
That's so
3/28.
That's so funny.
Yeah.
But going back to it,
oh boy.
Dallas. Well, the Southern Division is hands down the deepest division in the league. So it'll be interesting to see how Atlanta got better. But Raleigh also made some pretty interesting moves in the offseason. But these teams always give out a good game, so you could probably flip a coin and make a pick. But I would go with Atlanta for consistency's purpose. They've consistently been in the top talk for playoff contention, and I think this year will be their year.
Okay, so Andrew follows me in the bold pick. So let's go to James, see if he follows suit.
All right, guys. So Atlanta versus Raleigh, it's a pretty interesting rivalry here in the South. Atlanta owns the overall series over Raleigh. However, and then last year, pretty sure, see here, Atlanta was the number 4 offense in the Southern Division, but the number 2 defense. Raleigh was number 3 offense, did I say, and number 5 defense. So Raleigh's always needed help on defense. Atlanta's never really struggled on defense, and they have a pretty steady offense. So for them, everything kind of balances out. Raleigh kind of relies on their offense and then hopes for teams to make mistakes so they can score again. They never really make defensive plays. So I think that's one thing Raleigh always struggles with. That being said, I'm actually going to take Atlanta to win this, just for the sake of history.
All right, well, I mean, the future always follows the past. So now we move on to our next game, which is the defending champions, the Dallas Roughnecks, versus the Austin Soul. So we have both of these teams who played 4 times last year against each other, which was quite shocking to say the least. And the first couple times, Dallas really handed it to Austin. I mean, double digits every time. But the last game, Austin only lost by 2, and the Roughnecks would be the eventual champions. So you could argue that maybe Austin kind of has Dallas's number, and with Dallas losing so many of their key players, I'm going for another upset. Let's go. Austin Soul, come on, you got this.
No, I see the upset pick here, and I understand your pick, but the last game of the season didn't matter, other than making them the first seed. So if Dallas would have given a crap and actually beat Austin by a strong margin like they did during the season, it wouldn't have mattered. But they allowed the Radicals to seal the number 1 seed after they beat Austin by 2. So because as it's in the standings, it's by point differential after record. So I think Dallas got better defensively. I think the South is going to start to move towards bettering their defense. I know the Radicals run a heck of a good defense. They run a 2-4 cup with one man deep, and that thing is just a monster because you got so many guys clogging up the middle of the field, and it really makes the South slow down. And I think by acquiring Jay Frood, he'll bring this defensive mindset to the Roughnecks and make them not infinitely better, but definitely improved on their defensive side. So I'm going to go with Dallas to start the season. I would like to see Austin beat Dallas, but I don't think it's going to happen. Love the fans down there. They do a heck of a job with selling tickets, but being on the road, I think Dallas is going to lock it down at home.
See, here's the thing. God, last year, Dallas was not only the number 1 defense and offense in the South, they're the number 2 defense in the league. And okay, even though Madison had a better point differential than Dallas, I want to remind you, most of those points came from defensive conversions. Therefore, they did not count towards Madison's offensive rank. So Dallas is actually was number 1 ranked offense last year in the league. No offense, Andrew. I'm just saying that statistic. So now while they did lose Bo Kittredge and Cassie Rasmussen, they still have Jimmy Mickle, Kirk Gibson. They got Jay Frood, Abe Coffin. I don't know what Abe Coffin contributed to the Radicals though. He was like an unknown name to me. Me and Ben actually made awards last year, and I gave him Rookie of the Year. Anyways, that's what I was saying. I'm picking Dallas to win this game because it's a Texas rivalry, and Austin does well against Dallas. But
Dallas is still Dallas. That's true.
Yeah.
All right, so now we'll head to the last game that we're picking, and that is the Jacksonville Cannons versus James Nashville Nightwatch. This one should be pretty interesting, I think. I think Nashville did not get worse, definitely. I think they've gotten better. We're just going to have to see how they handle the media with Jesse Schaffner, because let's be honest, nobody's paid them any attention before. Yeah, so we'll see how they do with that. Maybe that'll help them exceed their potential and maybe take off Jacksonville. A big matter in this is, will Brody Smith be playing? I highly doubt it, but even without Brody Smith, I'm still going to pick Jacksonville.
Well, I hand it to Nashville for signing Schaffner, but she's 5'1". Most of the guys in the South are about 6 foot or taller. Not that she's not going to be a good impact player. I just think she's going to be a little bit overmatched, if that makes sense. So I know Brody Smith's been doing rehab this whole off season. He's been posting about it on Instagram, and I've been following him through that. And I just don't think he's going to play. I really don't. And I don't see why Jacksonville would want to push him back so quickly. There's really no reason to rush him back. And I don't think he wants to do that either. Anyway, he's been through 2 knee surgeries already, and he wants to get back into it and find a safe career for him to be in. Jacksonville made a pretty good offseason of moves. They grabbed a couple players from other teams in the South. So I would think that Jacksonville's made the better offseason moves, and I think they'll show that in their first game against Nashville.
All right, and James, your team, let's see what you think about it.
Okay, well, again, Jacksonville is a good team. I did pick them to get number 3 seed in the South. I want everyone to remember that Nashville was basically the ones who played spoilers to Jacksonville's playoffs hope last year. We were the reason they didn't make the playoffs in the end because we destroyed their chances going to the last week. Again, like I said, Jesse Schaffner, she has an older brother who plays in DC. Now, I did watch one of his highlight videos. It was just showing he's a handler, the amazing throws he could do. And let me tell you, he was one of the most accurate throwers I've ever seen in my life. And I'm surprised I'd never seen it before. And if she is even half as good as he is at throwing, she's going to be a great member of the handling corps in Nashville, which is probably what she's going to end up being playing. Because at 5'1", you don't expect her to be much of a cutter. So a handler is probably what she's going to be. One thing I wonder about this is as far as everyone knows how we push for gender equity in Ultimate, but I just wonder how everyone's going to react to, of course, her being the only female on the field. Are they going to subconsciously, not knowingly pull back when they're playing up on her? I don't know. I'm not saying they will or they should. I'm just saying it's a lot of factors that could go into her just being on the field and how Jacksonville plays. So again, interesting. I'm honestly, we still have players like Tom Radcliffe, who, again, he made the All-Star, All-Southern team. Congratulations, Tom Radcliffe. Blake Waldron, William Hannon, Again, you guys don't know who I'm naming, and that's totally okay because I know who I'm naming. I'm just gonna pick Nashville to win this game. There is some bias in that. I'm not gonna lie. Watch out. That's all I have to say. Nashville over Jacksonville.
That's it for us here at The Ultimate Show. See you next week.